Hey, sports fans, Larry Eder, RunBlogRun. This is your favorite program, Socially in the Distance. Today we have Robby Andrews. He's an Adidas-sponsored athlete, 2016 Olympian, won in 2017, and he's been around for a long, long time, and we get a chance to ask him some fun questions today. Robby, great to see you.
Oh, Larry, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
What's your first memory of getting involved in track and field?
So I owe it almost all to my dad, Bob Andrews, up in New Jersey. But he grew up on Staten Island, and he was a high school coach at Curtis High School in Staten Island, and then he went on to coach at Wagner College, where he was a graduate assistant, or that might have been flip flop, but alas, he was a high school coach for a long time, and so. My mom would bring my sister and my sister Kristen and I to the track meets, and, I was a little nothing. And so I got the nickname Baby Bob because I was just Bob's baby. So I kind of grew up around track pretty much my whole life. And it was never necessarily forced on me, but it was kind of what I was exposed to. And so my sister and I, we like to compete, we like to race, and my dad gave us that opportunity and we took it. But yeah, it was I remember having a lot of fun at the track and just practice and just going with my friends or my sister and, just kind of enjoying with that.
When did you first compete? In high school?
So I guess compete, whether that was at like a junior nationals or whatever it was, we usually go to like one or two races a year, whether it was cross country or on the track. And I remember my sister and I shared a pair of spikes because we roughly had the same size shoe. And so, she'd run the 400 and I'd run the 400 or the 800. And, we do that like once a year. But then in middle school was really my first year competing consistently in cross country. Then I played basketball in the winter, and then I ran outdoor track in the springtime.
Okay, cool. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Manalapan High School in Manalapan, New Jersey. Go Braves!
Wow. Now, I think the first time I was aware of you was running indoors, sophomore year.
I played basketball my sophomore indoor.
Okay.
But I think if you're thinking of oh my gosh, I forget the race, but I think it was a mile, and I had a pretty big close. It's actually that race that Coach Vidge saw, because I think Texas was there, and he was there for that, and he said, I want Robby, and then he went to Virginia the next year, and the rest is history.
When did Coach Vidge begin to coach you?
So as it's actually a pretty cool story. So in the summer of my junior year, the colleges start calling you, and so I get a call from the legendary Coach Vidge at Texas, and he says, "Hey, Robby, I'm about to go to Beijing with Leo. Can you not make a decision for a month or so?" And I was like, yeah, it's like June. I wasn't ready to go anywhere yet anyhow. And he's like, great, I'll call you in a month. And so he calls me in a month and he says, "Hey, Robby, this is Jason Vigilante with the University of Virginia. How'd you like to drive to school instead of fly?"
Wow.
Just, hysterical. So I took a visit with some of the other, some of my future teammates, and just fell in love with him in the program, and Charlottesville, it's not a bad place to be. And so we ended up doing the thing, and it ended up going okay.
That's cool. What is it about? What's your perfect distance to race?
Oh boy, man. I love the 800 for a long time. And for a while, I really liked the 1K. I thought that was like kind of my sweet spot. But I think over the years, I've just run so many more 1500s that I feel like in in general, it's the perfect distance. It's just there's something so poetic and about it, and whether the guys go out in 53 seconds or whether you're Matthew closing in 50 seconds in an Olympic, it's there's so many ways to do it, and it's relatively unpredictable. So it's I like to think that it's that we fit each other really well. Yeah.
You've run 144.7 and 334.7. And I have your best. For some reason, I thought you ran a faster mile. I had your best mile listed as 3:53. Am I wrong?
Did you run? That's correct. From the Melrose game in 2016.
Okay. And there's something about you and Matthew racing. It reminds me of Christian Taylor and Will Clay in the triple jump. You guys seem to be able to bring each other out, and it's. I have these lovely pictures of you from 16 at the U.S. Indoor champs that were just stunning, and then some of the U.S. champ stuff, and it's just like, yeah, you guys just do it. What is it about you two racing? Did you guys race against each other in high school?
No, Matthew was he was really good at the 2 mile. I think he ran 8:41. We were actually talking about that race a couple of days ago. I think he ran 8:41 in the 2 mile, which is just like, it was crazy. And I think my best 2 mile as a senior was like 9:27. So I know he ran a great mile, and I wasn't I wasn't really there because he's 2 grades above me. So we never really overlapped, luckily. Yeah, I mean, the guys you're talking about, they have a couple more global medals than I do. You're talking about some all-time greats there. But thank you, I appreciate that. And Matthews, he's always been an incredible competitor, and we have a lot of respect for each other.
Talk to me about your experience in Rio.
Rio, man, that was it was so cool getting to make the team in Rio, and that was kind of a really long culmination of. In 2012, at the trials, I had a not so great day, and so I ended up being so nervous before the race that I didn't eat breakfast or lunch before the race, and I see Vidge in the warm up, and I'm like pale, and and he's like, "When was the last time you ate?" And I was like, I can't even talk, my mouth's so dry. So I end up not having a great race at the trials. And that like really, really stung me. That hit me pretty hard. Cause that 334 you mentioned earlier, that was from the 2012 season. And so I thought I was in really good shape. I thought I had a great shot. Matthew and Leo were definitely on another level, but, Andy Weeding had been hurt, so it was kind of up in the air about who was going to get that third spot. But anyway, so 16, I finally got that monkey off my back, and was able to make the team. And just getting to compete at any global championship, whether it's a world championship or Olympics, is really special. But to get to go to an Olympics was just, I hope it's not a one-time thing, but to compete there, and I gave it my best shot in the first round in the semifinal, and just a really unfortunate event in the semifinal where I was disqualified. But I've come to terms with that race, and it's really, really disappointing to see. But at the same time, I was so lucky just to even be there competing that. Do I wish I was in the final? And we had 3 Americans in there with Matthew and Ben Blankenship, of course. But hopefully that's not the end of my story, and I think I might have one more left in me.
How did the pandemic affect you?
So the pandemic, man, it was it kind of came at a not the worst time for me. So so now we're in the winter of 2020. And my Achilles was just sore all the time. And it was just, it got to the point where I stopped workouts early. Then I was cutting runs short. Then I was taking days off. And then I couldn't really run without pain. So really another cool story is, so I went to Dr. Trotter and Dr. Connors in Little Silver, New Jersey, and get an MRI on Thursday for my Achilles, drive over to Dr. Trotter for her to read it. And, she's this really bubbly person. She ran at Stanford. She's an awesome doctor, awesome person. And she just goes quiet. And I'm like, oh no. And I had a little tear in my Achilles or a nice tear in my Achilles. And this is March now of 2020. So pretty much in the right when everything was happening. And she said, well, I can get you in on Monday. This is Thursday now. So I can get you in on Monday, or it can be 2 weeks. It can be 2 months. We just don't really know when operating rooms are going to be opening. So, I called Vidge, and I was like, dude, is there any way the trials are going to happen in June? And at that point we were like, well, it doesn't matter because I can't really run that right now anyhow. So I went ahead with the surgery, and the first thing Dr. Trotter tells me after the surgery is the Olympics were postponed. I was like, oh God, yay. Did the surgery go okay? And she's like, oh yeah, it went great. You're going to be fine. So surgery was a super success. And of course, like most athletes, I probably pushed the envelope a little too quickly coming back, and I ended up tearing my other calf a few months later. So all in all, it was much more involved surgery than I wanted it to be. But I can proudly say it's been almost a year. It's been about 13 months now where I haven't really had to take any more than 2 days off without wanting to. So I'm healthy, and last year wasn't exactly great for me, but I feel really good about where I'm at right now. Health-wise, confidence-wise, and just mentally, I feel really, really at peace with where I'm at physically.
Are you beginning to build now for the 2022 season?
I am, yes. So I've been slowly getting workouts in, down in Charlottesville, getting some hills in, some hilly tempos in, and I feel like things are really turned a corner the last couple of weeks, last couple of months. I just need some time, and I know that's weird to say, and where we've only had time, but I just feel like I finally have my feet under me, literally, and I feel like I got a couple more goes left in me. Cool.
What are you planning on running indoors this next year?
I would love to. I've been very cautious in my older age now, but I would absolutely love to run indoor. Indoor is probably my favorite season. Northeast guy, got to run it, in high school, and it's going to the Armory, going to Ocean Breeze. It's like that. There's something so cool about that. So I would love to go run some indoor races healthily, and whether or not that ends up at a U.S. championship or not, we'll see. But I would love to get competing again.
What's it about Ocean Breeze that you like?
Oh, the window, the light that that just comes in, and I grew up on the shore, so I love looking at the beach, and so just it feels so open. Whereas the Armory it's different, but it's not worse. You feel everyone on top of you, like, Milrose games, everyone's like, you feel like you can't even hear your own thoughts, but which is great, but then, you go to Ocean Breeze, and it feels like you have some more space, and you can almost get running, sort of feels like an outdoor track. So it's, each track has its own little personality.
Mm-hmm. You were talking about cross country. Did you run it in high school and college, or did you was it not your thing?
I ran it. Yeah, I ran it all 4 years in high school, and I was only healthy enough to run it 1 year in college. It was actually my last season as a collegiate athlete was cross country, which is, it's pretty funny. My last race in a Virginia uniform was a regional 10K cross country. But in high school, let's see, I was fourth as a junior at the New Jersey State meet, and then I was fifth as a senior. My college roommate, Brett Johnson, and I, we went 4-5 as juniors and seniors, but he got but we flip flopped on the years. So we had fun with that. But so I was like, I never made Foot Locker though. I was pretty bummed about that, but I loved cross country. My team, my teammates and I, we really liked kind of getting out there and seeing what Manalapan High School could do against some of the bigger teams. CBA, they're like 15, 20 minutes from us, and they're like, national powerhouse. And, we never came close to them, but we like to think we were pretty close. And, this year, Manalapan, they're having a great year. I think they just got second at the county meet to CBA. So they're having a great season. It's really, really nice to see them coming back.
You've raced in Oslo, correct?
Yes, I have. That was actually kind of my last. When I think about my running and myself, of like how that's like my last healthy race that I remember is Oslo in 2018, which it just sounds so long ago, but I know it wasn't that long ago. But so that was my last like confident race that I can put my stamp of approval on. Yeah.
What was special about that race?
So so I was in the 1500. I wasn't in the Dream Mile, but it was Chris O'Hare and Pat Casey and Jakob Ingebrigtsen. I don't know if you ever heard of that guy. I think he was probably 16 or 17 at the time, but we went in there kind of like, are we really going to lose to this 17-year-old kid? And, so the crowd is just going crazy for him. And we just sat on him the whole time. I think we sat on him for 1,400 meters. And it was just so loud. And it reminded me of like a Millrose where like, but you're an outdoor track. The fans are just right up on the track and they're just going crazy for this teenager. And yeah, it was so much fun. I really, really like that race. I love the stadium, and Oslo, it's a great city. So I'd love to get back. I'd love to get Josette back there, get to run there. And Oslo is it's one of my favorite tracks for sure.
Where did you travel with Josette this summer?
So this summer, so with my racing, I was trying so hard to get in shape, run at the trials, try to make a run at the Olympic team this summer. And for whatever reason, things just were not clicking at all. Like it wasn't even close, and it was really disappointing. And at first I was like super embarrassed by it. And then I was doing everything I could and I was trying as hard as I could. It's not like I got the surgery for nothing. I didn't get Achilles surgery to stop running. I got it so that I can come back, compete, and do my best. But so in one of the last races before the trials, I think I ran like 151 in a cold day in Boston. And I was like, yeah, like it's really not happening. So when I got to say that out loud and take a step back almost and say, I'm not going to hit my head against this wall anymore. I think I just need to breathe for a minute. And then Josette was just exploding. She was taking off, whether she won Drake, then she went to the Sound Running, ran 14:51. Then she's running in Boston. She's winning more. She just kept winning. And so for me to say, let me be here to support you, that made me feel great. That was like probably the second best thing that could have happened other than both of us going to the Olympics together. So for me to be there for her and be able to support her and travel with her, especially her first time traveling to Europe we're never going to forget the summer. And it's so special. And I'm so happy that we had that time together. So we went to, she started in Lausanne. She started at Prefontaine, I guess. So we went from Charlottesville to Prefontaine. Then we went to Lausanne. Then we were in, Leuven for a couple of days. And then she ran in Brussels. Yeah. And then we spent a couple of days in Zurich, nice. Back in Switzerland. And then we spent a couple days in Lake Como in northern Italy, which was
cool. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it was it was a lot of fun. It was she definitely needed that vacation. I so proud of her. So it was really cool to be able to for her to race so well and then enjoy herself for even if it was just 2 or 3 days.
What's it like when you have a couple that's both racing? Is it a challenge to be able to encourage each other? Because you guys are, it's pretty much running can be very selfish, and when you're at your top level and everything's just dynamo hum, that's one thing. But then when there's challenges, and it seems that one person will have challenges, the other person's doing great. One person's doing great, the other person has challenges. Do you guys talk about running all the time, or do you guys shut it down?
She's a funny girl, man. So she can talk about it nonstop for like 2 hours, and then all of a sudden she's talking about a new Halsey album that just came out, or she's talking about a schnauzer that she wants to get, or we're talking about the cats that keep jumping up here. So when she gets into something though, she really sinks her teeth into it. And we'll like be watching a random TV show or something. All of a sudden she's like, what's 312 at the 1200? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean 312? Or she's like, what's 71s for 5K? And I'm like, I don't know that answer, but she's thinking about it, but then we're talking about it, and it's so cool to see how her mind works. And I guess we work really well together, and
cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. And this year was, like I said, it was really a really big struggle for me, and I leaned on her heavily, and it didn't take anything away from her, and if anything, it only helped me. I know that that's not saying much, but like it really helped a lot having her there. Especially like I mentioned earlier, Coach Vidge, he's got so much going on with Princeton and everything, and I'm down in Charlottesville. So if I needed somebody at the track with me, then it's like, hey, Josette, can you come time me? And she's like, well, I have my workout in the morning. Can we go in the afternoon? I'm like, yeah, of course, that's fine. So it's it's a really good balance, and she's accepted this lifestyle with open arms. She was made for this, and this was my 10th year as a professional, so I'm very familiar with the lifestyle and some of the, I'm not even going to say sacrifices, but the lifestyle you need to have for this. So I think we make a really good complementary team for sure.
What's the toughest thing for you about being a pro athlete?
It's probably for me, I think it's when you're not you want to be doing stuff. You want to be going, hanging out with your friends, or traveling to see your friends, or traveling to see family. You want to be going to this, do that, but you got to stay put. And if the more you travel to some extent, you're not going to get the training in that you need. So sometimes it's really hard for me to just like say, nope, can't go, not doing that. I have to stay here. Or this is going to, Josette and I just, we booked our trip to Flagstaff for Christmas this year. So this is going to be my third Christmas in Flagstaff, which is great. We love it there. And we stay with Matt Yano, and they treat us like family out there, but it's hard for me to tell my grandma, who I love so much, that no, I can't see you this Christmas. I have to go train at altitude and get really tired. So, but it's not, I know this isn't forever, and I love it. I really wouldn't trade this for anything. So it's hard, but it's also, I understand it, and I don't necessarily, I don't hold anything against it. I get it. It's the nature of the beast.
How often do you talk with Coach Vigilante? Do you talk with him every day, every few days? Do you guys text? What's the nature of your community?
Yeah. So Vidge and I, it's so we've been working together now since 2009, yeah, and So he understands me better than just about anybody. And, so every once in a while we'll go a couple of days without talking, and then I give him a call and it's like, hey buddy, how's it going? And, how'd you feel? Blah, blah, blah. And, or if he tells me to go do this one run down here, I know exactly what that means and I know what he's looking for. And, I'll let him know how it goes and he'll say, great, but, our communication it's been really good. And, I think that's part of any good, coach athlete relationship is the willingness and the openness to communicate. And, we work really well together, and I'm so lucky to have him in my life and, as a coach and as a friend. But it's, it's not easy with the distance. It definitely took me a little bit to both of us to get it going. But, I think we have a good system right now. And, we both want to, we're both not in this to be okay. We want to be the best. And that was kind of tough part this year is like, I'm running like high school times, and it's like, I'm not trying to, I promise you, I'm not trying to. So it's, it's a little bit of a problem solving, and he's up for the challenge and I'm up for the challenge. And, I like to think that we have it figured out now.
What's your training like right now? What kind of work are you doing?
So right now, I built up to about, I think last week I was 65. This week I'll be right around 70. I'll probably hover around 70, 75 for the next 3 or 4 or 5 months. And a lot of tempo work, whether that's a fartlek or straight tempo, long tempo, some sort of that. And then a lot of hill sprints. There's an awesome hill in Charlottesville. Well, there's a lot of awesome hills, but there's one hill that Vidge and I like a lot. It's almost, I think it's exactly 400. And like running 80 seconds on that 400 hills, like moving. So running 520 pace up that, you feel like you're moving pretty good. So it's nice to have some benchmarks. And then it's also, you can just pick any random road that you want to do hills. We'll get on the track a little bit, just, make sure that we don't get too far from the track with strides and some shorter 200, 300 type stuff. But, just a lot of base work. It's not really rocket science. Vidge does such a good job of blending the science and the art of it. It's like, you got to get tired, but you got to stay fast. You got to be fresh. You got a little bit of everything. And, I really admire the way he coaches, and especially he coaches me. It's, every athlete's a little bit different. So it's nice to see that it's not just it's like, great, do this, I'll see you later. Here's your next 3 months of training. I'll talk to you later. It's like, he wants to know everything's going, and it's really personal.
Give me a tempo workout that you like doing.
So today I jumped in with Coach Fox and his Reebok group actually. And, I did 3 mile tempo, 2-minute break. And then I did 90 seconds on, 90 seconds off. I think I did 3 of those, and then just 2 by 45 on, 45 off. So, really kind of not exactly a flashy workout, but, some of the other guys, they had 5 miles and I got to tack on 3 because I'm not quite where I want to be yet, but it's just some good tempo work. And I think I was like just under 5-minute pace for the 3 miles. It's fine. And, the 90s, making my chest burn, which is, it's all you want. Yeah.
What, give me a typical fartlek workout you like.
Fartlek. Oh man, Vidge loves the 3 minutes on, 90 seconds off. I've done a lot of 3-minute fartlek. That's, roughly K repeats, call it whatever you want. Three, it's, but we really, really like the 3-minute fartlek.
How many 3-minute fartleks do you end up doing before you're hurting like a real puppy?
Oh man, well, I guess it depends how fast you go out on the first one. But if I think normally I don't think I get much more than 10. So I think if I work up to 8 by 3 minutes, that's like usually about my max on that type of volume. And then if we do 5 or 6, then like he'll want them a little more snappy. But yeah, I get hurting pretty good by the end. I'm definitely I'm not much of an aerobic guy compared to some people.
What's your long runs like?
Long run, it's anywhere from 15, 16 only a couple times. But Vig, we figured out that I do really, really well with 10-mile steady run in the middle of my long run. So I'll do anywhere from 3 to 5 miles warm up, then take a little break, which some people can't even comprehend in the middle of a long run, but I'll take a little break and kind of reset a little bit. And then I'll get 10 miles anywhere from 5:10 to 5:30 pace. And that's on like a flat towpath at sea level. So then, if I go to Flagstaff, it's not like that. And if I'm in Charlottesville, it's not like that either. But when I'm in Princeton on like a flat towpath, generally it's like 10 miles at 5:20 is like a really good benchmark for me.
How do you do training at altitude?
Conservatively. It's you just that's kind of my biggest concern is I don't want to dig myself into a hole. But Stephen Haas and the Under Armour group out there, they've been great with letting me and Josette tag along with whoever's out there. Matt Yano, who I mentioned we stay with out there, he's a marathoner. And last year I did a hill workout with him, and so it's cool going out there and you get to meet so many new people or some of your old friends and just kind of not necessarily jump into whatever they're doing, but you get to get a feel for what everyone's doing. And for me, it's just a lot of, I like to do some faster stuff up there so that, I keep my kind of like the leg turnover going, and then just like kind of running 7-minute pace at altitude is going to get you in pretty good shape. And then if you keep your legs turning over, I feel like that's worked well for us in the past.
Yeah, I used to go up to Tuolumne Meadows in my Volkswagen bus, camp up there for 6 weeks, about 8,800 feet. And
oh my God, that's high. That's high, man. That's tough.
We would do that. We would start down in the valley, at about 6, and then we'd go up behind Half Dome and stuff. But you get up into Tuolumne, and like you're saying, you are sucking air. But, I knew that after a good 3 to 4 weeks, it made a big difference.
Totally.
I've loved watching you compete. How would you describe your approach to the 1500? How do you break the race up?
Oh, well, thank you. I guess depending on the race and what the goal is, but I guess if we want to talk about a U.S. championship
that'd be great. I love that.
Okay, then in the qualifying round, it's either top 4. Generally, it's top 3 in a non-Olympic trials year. So for me to it's like one of the biggest cliches in all of track, but every miler thinks they have the best kick. So, but for me, if I see myself in 3rd, 4th, or 5th with 300 to go, I know that all I have to do is kind of maintain and get around 1 or 2 guys. And, depending who's in the race, depending if Hawker's behind you or Centro's behind you, then, it's a lot harder to do. But for me, I try to keep it as calm as I can early on. And then kind of second half, whether it's 600 out, 500 out, 400 out, that's where you really want to hone in on your position and take a note of where guys are, who's moving well, who's not moving well, how you're feeling. It almost doesn't matter how you're feeling because you know what you got to do anyhow. And then in the final, it's you never know what you're going to get. It's whether, in the 16 trials, Matthew runs 334 flat, and sets a trials record. And then this year, I think they ran 335 or 336 with like a monster close. And it's you just have to be paying attention, but not expending too much energy early on. And it's a lot about picking your place early. So, whether it's getting out really hard and you want to be up front, or for me, a lot of times I like just getting off the line and easing into the back. So then I'm not using any energy, jostling with guys, fighting guys, and just then really using my energy appropriately throughout the next K. And then, the last 300, it's going to be a battle no matter what. So make sure you have enough ammo in the tank, I guess.
Next year, the world champs are in Eugene. The U.S. champs will be in Eugene. And this year it was, 107 degrees. How do you prepare for the heat and the humidity?
Well, I felt so bad for the athletes, man. It's you get everything postponed a year. You train everything that happens, and for the 15 final 3 hours before the race, they end up postponing it 3 hours. I'm like, you can't make this up. So I don't even know how much you really can prepare for something like that. It's I'd say you prepare for anything to go wrong, and whether that's the heat or whether it's going to be 40 degrees and hailing out. I think there's one NCAA that where it was hailing one day and it was like 90 degrees the next day. So I think if you prepare your mind for, not, oh, I'm sorry, not not necessarily one specific thing, but for adapting to anything, then that's what's going to help you the most. And it's that's the way track is, because also it's the same thing with races. It's like no one stands on the line and says, hey, I'm going to go through 800 at this pace, and then I'm going to let you pass me, and then I'm going to pass you in the last 100. You got to be ready for anything. So the heat, the weather is just one of those things, and you just got to, you got to be ready.
Are we going to see you race a 3,000 or 5,000?
No, no.
That's honest. That's honest. No. I just was curious.
I'm a lot of things, and 5K runner is not one of them, and okay. I'm okay with that.
I'm glad you. Do you have an athlete that you admire?
I had a ton of fun watching Cole Hawker this year. I mean, a ton of fun. That kid just. It was crazy to think that one of his worst races this year was his conference 800, where the only guys he lost to were two other Olympians with Jewett and Charlie Hunter. He still runs 146, and then he comes back 10 minutes later and beats Cooper Tier in a 5K, closing in 54. It was, and then that's just one example. And, he just seeing the poise that he had at 20 years old, 19 years old, it was really impressive, and it was really, really cool to watch. And I really liked watching Hobbs Kessler come along this year. That was I can say unexpected, because I didn't know him much before this year, but I know everyone in his camp has been saying that he's been running towards this for a long time. But just watching some of his closes, I mean, I think he ran a crazy 2 mile closing in 25 or something. The way he moves is really fun to watch. I guess one of his training partners, Nick Willis, I've been a big fan of Nick for a long time. And, going back with Matthew, I've had so much respect for Matthew since high school, and then watching him win his first medal in 2011, and just kind of him just be at such a high level for such a long time. That was always my goal, is to be at that level for a long time. And I never got to Matthew level. I haven't gotten any global medals yet, but I like to think that I still have a little bit of time left to get there.
Robby, we want to see you do it too. And you have survived 40 minutes with me. So great job.
Larry, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.
It's always great catching up with you. I mean, I normally I'm sitting on the side of the track watching you warm up or something, and I try not to bother you before races, but you've always been enjoyable to watch race, and you give your all to the sport. And I have really enjoyed watching you and Josette this summer on Instagram and stuff. I follow you guys, and I'm very happy for you, and my best to Coach Vigilante and to Coach Fox. But great job, and you survived 40 minutes. So we'll do the little closing now. This is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun, Socialing the Distance. This is Robby Andrews, an Adidas-sponsored athlete, 2016 Olympian, and one of our finest 1,500-meter runners. Robby, thank you.
Thank you so much, Larry.
Well, hello, sports fans. Larry Eder, RunBlogRun. This is Socialing the Distance, your favorite program. And today we had Robby Andrews, an Adidas-sponsored athlete, 2016 Olympian. He just really enjoyed talking with Robby today. He's run 144.71, 340, 34.78, 353 mile. A fine high school runner, a fine collegiate, been an Adidas sponsored athlete for 10 years. And we talked about Robby juggling the pandemic and some Achilles surgeries. And the last 3 years since 2018, he's been dealing with injuries. And he's finally back up to about 70 miles a week, 65 to 70, under the watchful eye of Coach Vigilante. And he's looking like he really wants to do 2022. We would love to see him run well in our home country. So it could be a lot of fun. Robby has been around for a long time. He was a top high school athlete, a top collegiate athlete, and again, a 10-year pro career. It's pretty impressive. His girlfriend, Josette Norris, has had a fantastic year, and we got to ask him a little bit about what's it like juggling when one's doing well and one's not. And it was fascinating. You know, they're very supportive. He's just a good guy, but he's got a fearsome kick. And him and Matthew Sentowitz have had some really big races when Robby and Matthew are both healthy. And he talked about how much he enjoyed seeing Cole Hawker race this year, and pretty impressed with his abilities to come back and compete. And so I just think that it's just a matter of time for Robby. I think he's got, like he said, a couple more good seasons, and would love to see him race well and make the World Championship team. He is one of our finest 1,500-meter runners, and he's run well in championship rounds. So I look forward to seeing him play a big part in Eugene, Oregon in 2022. This is Larry Eder with Socialing the Distance. Wanted to thank Robby Andrews for his time. Wanted to thank Ray Flynn and Brad Ewer with Flynn Sports for putting this together for us. Want to thank Mike Deering, our production manager, for managing Socialing the Distance and Athletics Chat. And most of all, wanted to thank you, our dear viewers, for passing these around, for telling people about what we do, and for sharing this with your teams. The more eyeballs, the better it is for us. So please pass them around. It keeps the sponsors happy. Again, Larry Eder, Socialing the Distance. Peace out.